Okay, hi guys, it's Swank Ivy and I'm back with more videos about asexuality. This time I'm starting a new series. It's going to be called Letters to an Asexual, where I will read you some communication that I've gotten from various people over the years, asking me questions and saying goofy things and whatnot, so you can kind of see how the communication goes sometimes with people who don't understand, or maybe people who have some of the same questions some of you guys might. I'm going to run out of time because this is kind of a long one, so I'm going to dive right in. There's this website called OKCupid, and I'm a member there. It's mostly a dating site, though, so I was a little bit cautious about joining it back in 2005, but I saw that it had some little places where you could check that you only want new friends and pen pals and stuff like that. And the reason I wanted to join it was they have these really cool tests, and the only way you can save your profile and your results and compare them with other people is if you have a profile on there. So, I made a profile, and I made a very specific profile entry that says that I'm asexual and that I'm not looking for romantic relationships. But of course that doesn't stop some people from not reading it and just emailing me and proposing weird things anyway. So anyway, let's see. They won't let you choose asexual on there because it's not a drop-down choice. So I picked bisexual, and there's no reason in my opinion to choose heterosexual just because people think of it as the default. I mean, it's like I'm not any more hetero than I am homosexual, so I have bi on there, and then I clarify in the profile. So I got this email from a guy who wanted me to join his harem or something, and I told him that I wasn't really the best choice to join him in his group of chicks or whatever it was because I'm asexual. And the thing that he wrote back was kind of shocking, actually. I hadn't gotten something this sort of ignorant sounding in a long time. So here's what he said. I can't begin to understand your reluctance to have sex. I know there could be many reasons. Physical, you might be passive-aggressive, you might like to be in charge, you might have issues with your parents or your sisters and feel marginalized. You may fear getting pregnant. You may want to marry Jesus. Maybe you had an abortion and are feeling the guilt. How can I know? But I do know one thing for sure. There won't be any genetic kids for you, so your unique line ends. Hey, it's your decision. Your kids won't like it much. And I replied back and I said, it's not reluctance, it's asexuality. It's an orientation, just like gay, straight, and bisexual. It just means I have never been sexually attracted to anyone. Calling it reluctance insinuates that it's something wrong that's preventing me from being interested, rather than just having nothing ever interest me in the first place. And how can you know? Quite honestly, when you say, how can I know, when I laid out in a second paragraph of my profile for the express purpose of helping curious parties understand, it's disheartening. No, I don't expect every person I see on here to read every sentence, but I do think if someone is interested in meeting me, they might at least look at the beginning. It's pretty obvious to me that my last letter was the first inkling you got about my asexuality, and I guess you're not familiar with the concept, because here you've rattled off a long list of problems and things that could be wrong with me, rather than maybe realizing that a person can be happily asexual and have that be alright. I'm not going to go giving you a big lecture about what asexuality is and isn't, partly because it would probably give you the wrong impression and maybe even seem confrontational, but just so you know, I have never been interested in sex, never had an abortion, never wanted to marry Jesus. I don't want to get pregnant, but fear of is not a reason to avoid sex, and I don't have personality issues from a scarring upbringing or negative experience. To tell you the truth, the only negative experiences that I've had regarding romantic relationships directly rise from having people refuse to understand and accept my sense of being happily single, not looking. Sexuality is a continuum. Some people want to have sex with everything that moves, and other people, like me, don't think about it at all. And then, he has this thing about how my kids aren't going to like it much, and I said lots of people say this to me. I'm not sure what the point is, though. I guess most people assume that this is going to make me sad, or that it's going to be a revelation. I'm well aware that if I don't spawn, I won't be passing on my genes. That is common knowledge, but the human species is rather unique in that it has alternative avenues by which it is possible to leave a legacy without having children, and my mark on the world will be the art I create and the books that I birth. I will leave these for the world to inherit. I have no guarantee that they will make a big mark or that they will affect who I want them to affect, but we don't have that kind of control over our children either. So, then he said that art and books aren't a substitute for spawning, because it isn't the same thing. And he said, sadly, all that we do comes to naught. Few can be a Hemingway or a Mozart. I only looked at it this way after my kids died. Imagine all the people behind you who were different from you but reproduced so you could be here, and all the ones ahead of you who want a chance to create, suffer, love, explore, and you've left that job up to your sisters. It's not the same thing. The only reason we're here and the only way to get into the future is to reproduce. And let's see, and then he says, about asexuality, my only remaining question, and then it's only a question you should ask yourself, and that's, why? Despite all the verbiage, I'm not sure you have the final answer for that. Please, no rebuttal. That's just the way I see it. Things change. And then he also suggested that I revise my profile in this way. Dear world, I'm an individual who wants you all to know that I'm an asexual being, and I want contact only from others of my kind, because if you lust after my womanhood, I will be forced to smite you, male and female alike. Don't call me, I'll call you. Grasp things very well, obviously. So, the thing that he said regarding how, I can't be a Hemingway or a Mozart and blah, blah, blah. I said, that's ridiculous. Where does one draw the line? By this logic, one could go on to say what a tragedy it is, how many poor children never get a chance to be born because a guy jacked off down the drain, or a woman had her period and wasted the chance to make a human instead of making sure to get pregnant. I'm lucky and grateful to have had a chance to live. That does not mean I feel it's therefore my duty to spend this gift of life in the service of bringing more children into the world. Life at some point has purpose in and of itself. If I had children, they would captivate my attention, as they well should. And whether or not I resented it, they become the primary purpose of my life. My life is currently devoted to my other children, the characters of my novels. They will never see light if I do not birth them. As it is, there are hundreds of stories I will never write. Because of the difference in our values, you used to think perhaps it's selfish of me to consider fictional people more important to create than real people. They're all possibilities until you breathe life into them, and I choose to create the stories and share them with people who are here now and people who will be created in the future. So you think the only way to attain a bit of immortality is to reproduce, and I acknowledge your beliefs, but I do not consider them right for me. I ask for the same respect from you. And he says, the only reason we're here is to get into the future and reproduce. And I said, I don't agree. End of story. A recipe can be passed down through the ages, but the recipe's main purpose is to instruct you on how to make a cake. You're saying a recipe's purpose is to be passed down. Where does the cake itself become important? Or don't you think it is? And then his crap about, you should ask yourself why, and you probably don't know the answer. And I said, does it make a bit of sense to ask a question like why, and then claim you don't want a rebuttal? No dice, my friend. Asking me why and then saying you don't want a response makes me think you're saying I don't know why, as if this is some wise statement that you know to be true, and I'm supposed to swallow it and say with wonder, gee, he's right, I do not know the answer to this. And that's not the case. I do have an answer. Why no sex? Because I don't want to. Is that not enough? I think it takes a strong person, like I've had to become, to listen to one's inner voice and say, this is not how I feel. Everyone expects me to want sex, but I don't. I will stand by that. I will be true to myself. I will only change if I want. There's a choice whether to do and whether to do not, but there is not a choice whether to want or not want. I can't help it that I don't want it. I also can't say with certainty any cause for my disinterest, but the cause is beside the point. It's part of who I am. I'd like to reiterate that this is not sad. This is not a loss. This is not something missing from my life. It is something I simply don't pursue. Your life probably is not empty and horrible because you've never written a novel. Me, I can't imagine not writing. You, as a person who presumably has not finished a novel, will never know that joy. But I submit for your consideration that the joy would not be for you what it is for me if you did not also have the burning urge to create such a thing. It is not sad that you are missing it because you never wanted it. It would not complete or enhance your life as it does mine. So I have to step back and say, well, that's not a part of who he is. Understand, please, that this is how I am with romantic relationships. I have not wanted for them. I do not desire them. Thus, I do not feel empty without them, especially not when my life is so gloriously full of passion in other areas. I bake delicious cakes. And then his crap about revising my profile, I said, I understand this was a bit of a joke. Regardless, I think it perfectly sums up exactly how badly you misunderstood me. I have never suggested, in public or in private, that I only want contact from other asexuals or that contact from people who want to be friends is objectionable. I just want contact from people who don't want to change me. I say as much as I feel I should about asexuality in my profile, only so that people on a dating site don't get the idea that I want to date. I'm here for the fun tests and the friendships. It's only fair to say so. Lusting is not something others can control with regards to me, but I don't begrudge them if they can't help it. I just ask that they leave me out of it if they seek to change me without understanding who I am. So that's the pertinent part of our conversation, and I'll have another letter next time. I'm out of time. Thanks, guys. Bye.